Hey everybody, it's Nate. Welcome back to another video. Today we have a video that is really not a fun one to make. I've talked about in the past the state of the gaming sphere, right? And there's a lot, sorry, I'm dropping things already. There's a lot going on in the world of video games. Obviously, the Switch 2 just came out. We're getting kind of through this halfway point of the current console systems. And really, a lot of games are coming, and we've been getting some really amazing games over the last couple of years, with the promises from certain studios of more. And one of these studios, of course, it's been this way since the last generation, is Xbox. Now, you already know from the title and from other people making videos probably very similar to this one, that today we're talking about the Xbox layoffs. And I don't really want this video to become a Sony / Nintendo versus Xbox, because those two companies also have their fair share of problems. Now, if you look across this channel's history, I've actually leaned probably the most into Nintendo and then a little bit more into Xbox than I have in PlayStation. And that's just because I grew up with Xbox. I have an innate bias towards them. They were the first console I had that wasn't a handheld besides the Wii. And really, the Xbox 360 was the first console I got to have in my room. And the Xbox One was a huge thing for me as a kid. But that is where the problems really started, I feel like, for Xbox, was back then, because there just wasn't a lot of exclusive games to keep up with the PlayStation 4. And we all know that Xbox has recently just really dove into Game Pass, and I think Game Pass is great. I am a part of Game Pass. I subscribe to Game Pass, but honestly, I think that's part of the fucking problem. So if you don't know the context of what I'm saying, Xbox today has laid off a lot of their staff. And by a lot, I mean they've closed Interactive, which I believe is the studio behind Perfect Dark. This Perfect Dark reboot that a lot of people have been really excited about. Sorry for my mispronunciation. It's actually the Initiative that was shut down. But this game was axed, and we saw gameplay literally like last year, and now everybody's saying that that gameplay was more than likely fake or just like a really nice vertical slice of the game, and I can't help but agree with that. But they completely shut down the Initiative, which is just fucking wild to me. On top of that, Candy Crush is getting rid of a huge portion of their staff, which, you know, it's bad at a company when they start laying off one of the most downloaded and played mobile games ever. When they start laying off people that work on that game, that's how you know there's a fucking problem. And the one that hits me the closest to home, because yes, I was excited for Perfect Dark. I have touched Candy Crush maybe once. The one that hits closest to me is the rumor that Raven Studios from Activision and Xbox, and not Xbox, but from Call of Duty, really, they are getting hit with massive layoffs. And that to me is the one that sucks the most, because I actually think Raven Studios is a extremely talented team. They are my favorite outside of Treyarch that's under kind of this Activision umbrella. And I grew up loving everything that they made. Obviously, there was more. I think it was the Sea of Stee studio, Rare, got hit really hard. The people behind the Elder Scrolls Online, that Everwild game got axed. Forza Motorsports, that team, Turn 10, I think, they got hit really hard as well. So really, my heart goes out to the developers and the people that really got fucked over by this. From the letter that we got from Phil Spencer, it sounds very much like this was something that they said out and then kind of left for the different studio heads to tell their teams. And that's just such a bitch way of doing it. I'm sorry. Like, I just can't give Xbox any credit for anything anymore. Oh, I just saw a bunch of lightning, man. These heat storms across the country are kind of wild right now, huh? But yeah, right now, the layoffs are actually still actively unfolding, and they said in the newsletter that this was going to be something that takes place over a couple days. So there might even be more studios coming out about this and just getting absolutely hit. It's frustrating for me as someone who, again, grew up loving Xbox. The Xbox 360 is forever cemented in like my top 3 favorite consoles of all time. Not really because of exclusives, but just because of how fun it felt to use that console. That console felt like a video game console. And then ever since then, it's just kind of been downhill. Don't get me wrong. I actually really like the Series X, and I think it's a step in the right direction, but I'm not really a fan of the handheld. There's a reason I didn't make a video on the newly announced like Xbox handheld handheld because I think it's literally just a different product with Xbox marketing. Like I don't think it's its own thing. And I was excited for Xbox to make their own handheld, which at this point, are they even gonna make it to the next generation of consoles? Like, let's be honest. Obviously, Microsoft is a million, trillion, fucking gazillion dollar company, but apparently they're also laying off people. So this is just a mess. And again, it's really sad from an Xbox fan's perspective. Obviously, like people who are hardcore Sony fans and Sony ponies are gonna fucking really run with this and just shit all over Xbox fans. And it's just, at this point, it's pretty tasteless because obviously the PlayStation has better games. I think we can all agree there because the PlayStation actually has games because Xbox has just given up on exclusives. And I'm not saying that exclusives themselves would save Xbox here. I think these problems have been deep-rooted since the Xbox One. I think the leadership at Xbox needs to be fucking struck with baseball bats. And that's just me being very dramatic. Okay, I'm not actually threatening to fucking hit somebody with a baseball bat. Okay, I need to make that very clear now that I have fucking 10,000 subs. But they really need to be taken down a peg because I don't think that they really understand what people want. And you would think that after such a fucking mess with Halo Infinite, that Xbox would have woken up and been like, okay, Halo is probably one of our biggest IPs ever, if not our flagship IP, and it couldn't even fucking release with the Series X. Not to mention, what's the point of buying an Xbox? If you're someone who, if I'm a parent, right, and I'm looking at all of these different consoles, I'm gonna be looking at Nintendo, maybe for younger kids, because it's a handheld and they have more family-friendly-esque games, and then I'm gonna be looking at PlayStation because they have Spider-Man, or they have games that maybe my teenager would like, or my young adult child that's getting into video games would like. And unfortunately, the world of Master Chief being a big draw to Xbox, and unless you're already a really big established Xbox and Halo fan, I just don't think that has the same fucking pull. Gears of War, I'm really excited for E-Day if we get to it, but at this point, I'm not holding out hope anymore because Perfect Dark looks so good and it's just axed, man. I know it's just the sphere that we're in, but it's really frustrating. Again, I know I've said that a couple times and I'm going to be repeating myself. I probably have repeated myself 100 times, but as someone who really cares about video games just as a medium, I really fucking hate when some of these major players in the game just don't fucking understand. And this has honestly been a video I felt like I've probably needed to make for a little bit because Xbox has been behind for a while. They've been out of touch with reality for a little bit now. And this is just another wake-up call for a lot of people. This is not going to make Xbox look good. They talked about how they're in a really good position in terms of, I guess, systems and hardware and software, and they didn't even really get into specifics. I have no faith in Fable anymore. Like, and it sucks because they just had a really good showcase too. I don't know, man. I think that this is just going to be a mess, I think, over the next couple days. But let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. I know I have some subscribers that are big Sony fans, so you people will probably be happy. But just in general, don't fight each other in the comments because this is none of our faults. Thank you guys so much for everything. This has been Nate. I'm going to get out of here before I say something else that might get me put on a watch list. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Later.